with FTR potentially having backstage heat with the Young Bucks and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for August 6th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With Bleacher Report, WWE Senior VP and Head of Talent Operations and Strategy, James Kimball broke down the company's process for hiring developmental talent. We'll come into each trial week with gaps that need to be filled. There's a full system in place where there's a churn and a schedule where evaluations take place. At that 2-year mark, if you've not made it on NXT TV on a regular basis, it's just not for you and it's not for us. We'll do a tryout, and then they'll do a set of releases and churn out. Our goal was to add volume, quality, and depth to developmental. Coming into this week, we have a 110 talents in developmental. The goal at the end of the year is 130. The sweet spot for us long term is around 150. During COVID in the last couple of years, that number got below 100. We're replenishing it, but we're replenishing it with what we believe to be real, premium quality talent. Recalling his iconic Talking Smack segment with The Miz from 2016, Bryan Danielson said on these sessions that Miz was very frustrated. He was Intercontinental Champion and wasn't being put on TV too much. I was very frustrated that they weren't clearing me to wrestle despite numerous doctors having cleared me to wrestle, and you know, I understand why, but that's a long story anyway. So just getting to the point of my frustration, so we come up with this thing. The original plan that Mike and I had come up with was I was going to deck him. We wanted to get under each other's skin so much that it was plausible that I would legit be angry enough to punch him, and so that was the intent. The idea was either they're going to fire me or it's going to make people want to see the match so much that they're going to have to clear me to wrestle. But then Mike did such a good job intuitively. I felt it was better to walk off because it was also like, this is so good. Leave him with this heat. He was so good. Mike and I don't like each other, legitimately. But Mike is also somebody that I respect a lot for working very, very hard. Speaking to the hashtag show about the walkout of Sasha Banks and Naomi from WWE, AEW champion CM Punk showed support for the pair, saying, "My thing is, I can't listen to people criticize me if I wouldn't ask advice from them. You can't lead people somewhere you've never gone. I try to be as humble as I can be, and I don't like talking about myself, but I was the first guy through the wall. I got bloodied for it. To watch somebody else stand up and walk out, I'm always going to support that 100%. I've never met Mercedes, I don't know her, but I definitely feel solidarity with her. I know how that place is. I know how women are treated there. I'm not a woman myself, so I can't put myself in those shoes, but there are probably a lot of reasons why she peaced out." According to the Wrestling Observer, female stars in WWE are under the impression that they will be getting more of a spotlight with Triple H's head of creative. Regarding the new regime, we're told that it's a positive and fresh vibe, but some talent are nervous whether they will keep or lose their position. But overall, the feeling is more excitement and more positive about the future. Paul Levesque was described as coming across caring about talent. Others noted a wait-and-see attitude, and there is also some paranoia among some described duelists from those who are not sure if their spots will be as good under the new regime. But it is mostly positive. It was noted it was more relaxed and calmer, that the women felt there was going to be more focus on them, and that the words wrestler and wrestling were no longer dirty words talent were instructed to never use without authorization, and almost everyone considers that a good thing. On Corey Graves' podcast, the recently returned Bayley spoke about wanting to unite the women's locker room and bring back the women's tag titles, which were announced to be returning for Raw next week. It's going to be a long road, just putting things together and trying to show certain people or trying to get the whole locker room on the same page. If we worked a little less selfishly, if we kind of see the bigger picture, I felt like we've been in this tunnel of we're trying to show our bosses, I have what it takes. No, I have what it takes. It turns us against each other. No, let's show them all what we can do. If we all show them that we can get along and do a show and we're not going to complain about every little thing, then it will make them want to give us more because we're easier to work with. There is a fine line between fighting for what you believe in and then trying to make the best out of every situation. I think I can help the girls that I bring and navigate these things to further the division. I want the tag titles to come back and play a very important role on the show. Following his retirement from WWE in the midst of an investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct, PW Insider is reporting that former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon has been removed from the internal talent roster. Rey Mysterio revealed while speaking at the 2022 Leagues Cup Showcase that many behind the scenes still can't believe Vince McMahon has retired. None of us expected it. We still are in denial that he's no longer there, but it is reality and we have to accept it. So we move on. We keep the show up and running. When asked about what needs to be done to address the corporate culture, Rey said, "To be honest with you, I'm more worried about what's happening with the Mysterios and storylines and how do we make this product even better, you know? Everybody has their input. Everybody has a little bit to give. Come out on top and at the end of the day, entertain our fans." Speaking about the allegations against McMahon, former WWE star Lana told ITR Wrestling, "Oh gosh, it's a feel like such a controversial issue right now, and it's really unfortunate everything, to be honest. I'm a big believer that we should bring things into the light, and even though I had an amazing relationship with Vince, and he was very kind to me and taught me so many things that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life, it doesn't mean that other people didn't have a very different experience. I, in general, not with people in WWE, but in general, being a victim of sexual harassment and being a victim of people trying to pull favors from you that I really just don't ever really talk about, and maybe one day we'll be more comfortable with talking about on a bigger level. But you know, I have compassion and empathy for those women, and I think it does need to be handled properly, however it is." After taking part in his final match at StarCast, Ric Flair is taking to Twitter to announce that he will be returning to the ring with Andrade this weekend in Puerto Rico. Whether he will actually wrestle or will just be serving as a manager remains to be seen. Talking on Busted Open Radio about winning his first world title, the ROH champion Claudio Castagnoli recalled his trials and tribulations from WWE. "I always feel you have to carry yourself with a certain grace, especially because of what people may expect a professional wrestler to be, or to act, or to look like. Even if my WWE career was again an uphill battle, it was a great uphill battle, because to me, even if I never won or will win that big title, I stay true to myself, and I feel that gives me a bigger bond with the wrestling fans. If I would have won the title right, that would have been the end of it, kind of, you know what I mean? It would have been like, hey, he won the title, he's good now, that's it. And then you have to kind of find what's next. Everybody's always looking for that destination, but it is the journey, right? It is the middle of it that's so awesome, that's so important. That's where you make all your friends, that's where you make all your memories, and people forget that. Yes, it would have been awesome, and I think it would have made a great champion, but if I look back, I had some amazing moments that you couldn't fabricate. I won the first ever Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that nobody will ever be able to take away from me. So if it was an uphill battle, I'm very thankful for it. And I'm very glad that so many people came on that journey with me. They remember despite me never being a champion. And I think that's a big accomplishment as well. With Mick Foley's son Dewey being released from WWE in June as he reportedly chose to depart from the company after nearly 7 years of service as a writer, the hardcore legend gave an update on the future of his son on his podcast. He would be a really valuable guy to have when writing promos. I know I'm his dad and everyone thinks highly of their child, but I'm going on what people told me. They really like him and I just wanted to say what a great job he did. If this is the end of his wrestling run, it's a really great run. Following AEW's announcement that former Impact Knockouts champion Madison Rayne would be joining as a coach for the women's division, president of the company Tony Khan touched on this while speaking to Busted Open Radio. We've shaken up the office a bit. We have a lot of great executives. We promoted some from within the team. We just added another coach. Madison Rayne is a great wrestler with a ton of experience. She's a great person in the ring and a great person in the office, and I think she's really going to add a lot to our team. I'm not saying she wouldn't wrestle anymore, and obviously we're kind of open to it. We have other people in the office who do wrestle as part of their schedule, so I'm definitely open to it. I haven't talked a lot about it because we're primarily focused on the whole company, but yet it's definitely something I'm really open to and would actually like. Despite being signed to WWE, Logan Paul is not like most superstars that work for the company. Given his stature as an internet celebrity, Paul has more freedom than others, as he's set to take a break from WWE to venture back into the boxing ring, saying on the Pat McAfee show, "I'm a boxer again. We're getting back in the ring. We're going to go from professional sport to professional sport. I want to get a fight in December. I have some people in mind, but I can't say. You know, you only get one first impression. That's part of my ability to make moments. I like making first impressions big. So I want to wait until we're ready." In regards to plans for the coming episode of Raw, it was said that WWE Hall of Famer Edge is slated to be at this Monday's Raw in Cleveland, Ohio, PWInsider.com has learned. Edge will obviously be following up his return to WWE storylines last week to feud with the Judgment Day. WWE Hall of Famer Stevie Ray recently posted a workout video and hinted at possibly having a retirement match, with him previously revealing that he turned down a final match for the Harlem Heat at StarCast next year. Booker T reiterated on his podcast that he does not want to take part in this bout. "If my brother's gonna do one last match, for StarCast, I'll be there to watch it. I'll be in the front row. As far as getting back in the ring and doing StarCast with Harlem Heat, it ain't happening. It ain't never happening ever again. You guys won't see Harlem Heat ever again in the ring together. It's over. It's done." It seems that FTR may have heat with the Young Bucks in AEW. Online, a fan took to Twitter to express her opinion regarding a rumor that the Bucks are attempting to bury FTR backstage. People who actually think the Young Bucks are burying FTR or are scared of them in some way are the biggest losers on wrestling Twitter. The Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer agreed, writing, "Actually, they are people who learn from Alex Jones types and can't read." This garnered a reaction from FTR's Dax Harwood as he said, "Dave, with all due respect, off. Like, in the most respectful and loving way, I mean that. When you decide to get two sides of a story, then speak on it. Thanks, dude." During Smackdown last night, former NXT champion Karrion Kross made his return to WWE, taking out Drew McIntyre, as his wife Scarlett placed an hourglass in front of Roman Reigns, hinting at a match between the two down the line. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.